Emma closed her eyes as the evening shadows stretched across her small apartment, her fingers absently tracing the edge of yet another past-due notice on her kitchen table. Through the half-open window, the gentle rustling of leaves mingled with distant wind chimes, momentarily drawing her attention away from the knot of worry that had become her constant companion. The soft glow of her single lamp illuminated the meditation cushion in the corner, unused for months now, a silent reminder of practices abandoned in the rush of survival. She sighed, her shoulders releasing just slightly as her gaze drifted to the unexpected letter that had arrived that morning, its elegant script inviting her to a mountain retreat promising ancient wisdom on abundance. As Emma ran her thumb over the embossed seal on the invitation, something stirred within her, a fragile hope that perhaps there existed a gentler way to live than this constant struggle, a path where abundance flowed not from exhaustion, but from harmony. The winding mountain road seemed to carry Emma farther from her troubles with each curve. Pine-scented air flowed through her open window, replacing the stale city atmosphere she'd grown accustomed to. After 3 hours of driving, the GPS finally announced her arrival at Sanctuary of Seven Springs, though all Emma could see was a simple wooden archway marking a gravel path that disappeared into dense forest. Parking her tired sedan, Emma gathered her weekend bag and followed the path. Stone lanterns lined the way, unlit in the afternoon sun but promising guidance for later. The crunch of gravel beneath her feet created a meditative rhythm as she walked, her mind gradually quieting after months of constant chatter. "You've arrived right on time," came a warm voice from ahead. Emma looked up to see a woman standing at a bend in the path. She appeared to be in her 60s, with silver hair pulled back in a loose braid and eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. She wore simple linen clothing in earthy tones and carried herself with quiet dignity. "I'm Sophia," the woman said, extending her hands in welcome. "The guardian of this sanctuary." "Emma," she replied, suddenly feeling the weight of her city stress like an unwelcome companion. "Thank you for the invitation, though I'm still not entirely sure why I was chosen." Sophia's smile deepened. "Those who need the wisdom find their way here. The why often reveals itself in time." They continued along the path together until it opened into a clearing. Emma gasped softly at the sight. A series of natural wood buildings nestled harmoniously among ancient trees. A stream wound through the property, connecting 7 small pools that reflected the sky above. "This is beautiful," Emma whispered. "This sanctuary has stood for centuries," Sophia explained, "protected by these mountains and tended by those dedicated to preserving ancient wisdom. For the next 7 days, you'll learn the 7 divine laws of abundance, principles that have guided seekers toward lives of fulfillment and plenty." They approached the main building, its wide porch adorned with comfortable chairs and potted herbs, releasing their fragrance in the afternoon warmth. "Tonight, rest," Sophia said, showing Emma to a simple but comfortable room with windows overlooking the forest. "Tomorrow, we begin with the first law." After settling in, Emma wandered to the main gathering space where a few other guests, only 5 in total, were quietly reading or gazing out at the landscape. A sense of peace permeated everything, from the natural materials that constructed the space to the soft instrumental music playing from hidden speakers. That evening, as twilight descended, Sophia lit lanterns around the property. Emma sat on the main porch, wrapped in a soft blanket, watching stars appear one by one above the mountains. For the first time in months, her mind grew quiet, her breathing deepened, and something inside her began to unfurl, like a flower sensing the promise of dawn. Emma woke to gentle chimes outside her window. The first hints of sunrise painted the sky in delicate watercolor strokes of pink and gold. A note on her bedside table read, "Garden of Appreciation. Dawn. Bring only yourself." Wrapping herself in the provided robe, Emma followed lantern-lit pathways through morning mist until she reached a garden unlike any she'd seen before. 7 circular beds formed a pattern around a central fountain, each filled with different plants. Sophia stood by the fountain, her face serene in the early light. "Welcome to your first lesson," Sophia said as Emma approached. "The first divine law of abundance is gratitude." The other retreat participants gradually joined them, each moving quietly, respecting the sacred feeling of the morning. When all had gathered, Sophia spoke. "Abundance begins not with having more, but with appreciating what already exists. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the first door to abundance." She gestured to the garden around them. "Each plant here grows because it first receives with gratitude sunlight, water, soil nutrients. Only after receiving can it give fruit, beauty, or medicine." Sophia guided them to the first circular garden bed, filled with vibrant morning glories opening to the dawn light. "These flowers understand the first law perfectly," she explained. "They open each morning in gratitude for the new day, never worrying if the sun will rise tomorrow. They simply appreciate today's light." She handed each participant a small journal and pen. "For our morning practice, we'll create a gratitude garden in our minds. Begin with 5 simple things you're grateful for right now." Emma sat on a stone bench, journal open on her lap. At first, her mind struggled. Bills, work stress, and loneliness had dominated her thoughts for so long. But gradually, small appreciations emerged. The warmth of morning sunlight on my skin, the scent of pine and earth in the air, the comfortable bed I slept in last night, the kind smile Sophia offered when I arrived, the chance to be here, learning something new. As she wrote, Emma noticed a subtle shift. Each item she listed seemed to create space inside her, as if gratitude itself was clearing away some invisible clutter. "Now," Sophia continued, "I invite you to walk this garden mindfully. With each step, silently, name something else you appreciate. Let your gratitude grow with each breath." Emma moved slowly along the stone path, adding to her mental list with each step. The color blue, my ability to see, the sound of the fountain, the strength in my legs to walk this path. By the time they gathered again at the center, the sun had fully risen. Emma felt lighter, as if she'd set down a heavy burden she hadn't realized she was carrying. "Gratitude," Sophia explained, "is not merely a sentiment, but a practice, one that opens the channels through which abundance flows. When we appreciate what we have, we attune ourselves to notice more blessings, creating a beautiful cycle." She directed their attention to a small pool where water lilies floated. "Like these lilies that open to receive the light, gratitude opens us to receive abundance. But unlike material possessions, gratitude can be practiced regardless of external circumstances." As they shared tea made from garden herbs, Sophia gave them their practice for the day, to notice and appreciate at least 21 things before sunset. "The mind that focuses on lack creates more experiences of scarcity," she explained. "But the mind trained in gratitude naturally attracts abundance, recognizing it in all its forms." Throughout that day, Emma found herself noticing things she would have overlooked before. The intricate pattern of bark on a pine tree, the perfect temperature of her tea, the moment of connection when another participant smiled at her during lunch. By evening, her list had grown far beyond 21 items. As she sat on her porch watching the sunset paint the mountains in amber light, Emma realized something had shifted. The knot of anxiety that had lived in her chest for months had loosened, making room for something new to take root. Gratitude, she whispered to herself, understanding now that this was not just a concept, but a doorway, the first step on a path toward a different way of living. The second morning began with a note directing Emma to meet at the eastern path after breakfast. The group gathered as instructed, where Sophia waited beside a rock face partially hidden by climbing vines. Today, Sophia announced, we explore the second divine law of abundance, intention. She pulled aside the vines to reveal a narrow opening in the rock. Please follow me. One by one, they entered what appeared to be a natural cave system. Crystal formations caught the light from Sophia's lantern, sending rainbow reflections dancing across the stone walls. After a short walk, the passage opened into a breathtaking underground chamber. A natural skylight allowed sunbeams to pierce the darkness, illuminating a still pool at the center. The walls glittered with embedded crystals of various colors and sizes. Welcome to the crystal cave of clear purpose, Sophia said, her voice echoing slightly. This is where we learn how focused desires shape our reality. The group settled on smooth stone seats surrounding the pool. In the quiet of the cave, Emma could hear water dripping somewhere in the distance, a steady, rhythmic sound like a heartbeat. The universe, Sophia began, responds to clear intention. While gratitude opens the door to abundance, intention directs its flow. She gestured to the crystals surrounding them. These formations didn't grow randomly. Each followed the precise intention encoded in its molecular structure, growing over time into these magnificent forms. Sophia handed each person a small, clear quartz crystal. Hold this in your palm and feel its energy. Crystals teach us about the power of focused intention. They grow slowly, consistently, in one direction, never wavering from their purpose. Emma closed her fingers around the crystal, surprised to feel a subtle warmth emanating from the stone. She closed her eyes, allowing the sensation to spread up her arm. Many people live without clear intention, Sophia continued. They react to life rather than creating it. They hope for better circumstances, but never clearly define what they want. Hope without intention is like a ship without a rudder. Movement without direction. Sophia directed their attention to the pool at the center of the cave. Its surface was perfectly still, reflecting the crystals above like a mirror. Look at this water, she said. In its stillness, it creates a perfect reflection. This is the state of mind from which powerful intentions arise, calm, clear, undisturbed by the chaos of scattered thoughts. She instructed them to sit quietly, focusing on their breathing until their minds became as still as the pool before them. In the quietude, Emma felt her thoughts gradually settling, like sediment in water. Now, Sophia said softly, I invite you to form one clear intention, something you wish to create or experience. Not a vague hope, but a precise vision. See it not as something you lack, but as something already forming, like these crystals, growing steadily toward completion. Emma closed her eyes. At first, her thoughts jumped to material needs, financial security, a better apartment. But as she sat longer in the crystalline silence, a deeper intention formed. I intend to live in alignment with my purpose, contributing my unique gifts while receiving abundance in return. When your intention is clear, Sophia continued, drop a small pebble into the pool. One by one, they approached the water. Emma watched ripples spread in perfect circles when her pebble broke the surface. A visual representation of how intention creates effects far beyond its origin point. Your intentions are like these ripples, Sophia explained. They extend outward, influencing the field of possibilities around you. The clearer your intention, the more powerful its effect. For their afternoon practice, Sophia guided them through creating intention statements, precise, positively worded declarations of what they were calling into their lives. She emphasized the importance of emotional alignment, explaining that intentions gain power when infused with genuine feeling. Words alone are not enough, she said. The universe responds to the energy behind your words. When you align your emotions with your intentions, you become a powerful creator. As they emerged from the cave into the afternoon sunlight, Emma felt a new clarity. Where before her desires had been vague wishes clouded by doubt, she now held focused intentions illuminated by possibility. That evening, sitting by her window, Emma refined her intentions in her journal. For the first time in years, she felt the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly where they're heading, even if the path itself remained to be discovered. The third day dawned clear and warm. After a light breakfast of fresh fruit and herbal tea, Sophia led the group to a trailhead at the edge of the property. Today, we walk through the forest of generosity, she announced, where we'll discover the third divine law of abundance, giving. The forest path wound beneath ancient trees whose branches created a living cathedral overhead. Dappled sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating shifting patterns on the forest floor. As they walked, Sophia pointed out various plants and their relationships. Notice how nothing in nature hoards, she observed. Trees release oxygen freely. Flowers offer nectar without demanding payment. Fruit falls when ripe, providing food for countless creatures. The natural world understands that giving creates the very conditions necessary for receiving. They came to a small clearing where a family of deer grazed peacefully. Rather than fleeing at their approach, the deer merely looked up, seemingly accustomed to human visitors who meant no harm. These magnificent creatures, Sophia said quietly, demonstrate another aspect of giving. They contribute to forest health by dispersing seeds through their droppings. Their very movement through the ecosystem creates pathways for other creatures. Even their bodies, when they die, return nutrients to the soil. Emma watched a doe gently nudge her fawn toward a patch of clover. Something about the simple generosity of the gesture touched her deeply. Many believe abundance comes from accumulating and keeping, Sophia continued as they resumed walking. But the third law teaches us that genuine abundance flows through us, not to us. When we grasp and hoard, we actually block the natural flow. The path led to a sunlit meadow filled with wildflowers and buzzing with bees. In the center stood a massive oak tree, its sprawling branches creating a natural pavilion. This oak is over 500 years old, Sophia explained as they gathered beneath its canopy. Consider what it has given in its lifetime. Oxygen for countless breaths, homes for thousands of creatures, shade for generations of travelers, and millions of acorns, each containing the potential for another 500 years of giving. She invited everyone to sit in a circle on cushions that had been arranged beneath the tree. Now we'll practice the principle of giving, she said, producing a basket of small river stones, each uniquely colored and shaped. Take one stone and hold it, infusing it with an intention of something you wish to give to the world, not a material gift, but something from your essential nature. Emma chose a smooth stone with swirls of blue and green. As she held it, warming it between her palms, she thought about what she truly had to offer. Beyond money or possessions, what could she give from her authentic self? After several minutes of reflection, clarity emerged. Her capacity for thoughtful listening, for holding space where others felt truly heard. "When you're ready," Sophia instructed, "we'll each share what we're giving, then place our stone at the base of this ancient tree, a symbol of our commitment to the cycle of generosity." One by one, they spoke their intentions. A young man offered his musical creativity. An elderly woman pledged her wisdom gained through experience. When Emma's turn came, she shared her intention to create spaces of deep listening in her daily life. "The beauty of giving," Sophia explained as they completed the circle, "is that it aligns us with the natural flow of life. Everything in existence both receives and gives. The inhale must be followed by the exhale. The heart must pump blood out as well as draw it in." For their afternoon practice, Sophia challenged them to find 7 opportunities to give, whether offering a genuine compliment, sharing knowledge, lending a helping hand, or simply giving their full presence to another person or to nature itself. "Remember," she cautioned, "giving with expectation of return is not true giving, but merely exchange. Give without attachment to outcomes." As Emma practiced throughout the day, she discovered something surprising. The more she gave, her attention, appreciation, assistance, the more energized she felt. Rather than depleting her resources, giving seemed to amplify them. That evening, as fireflies began to illuminate the gathering dusk, Emma sat on a bench overlooking the property. She realized that for years she had approached life from a perspective of scarcity, carefully guarding her time and energy for fear of running out. Now she wondered if perhaps she had been working against the very law that could have brought her abundance all along. Morning mist clung to the meadows as Sophia guided the group down a gentle slope toward a valley nestled between 2 forested hills. Unlike previous days, today she asked them to walk in silence, paying attention to the sensations of descending. "We're entering the valley of acceptance," she explained when they reached the bottom. "Here, we learn the 4th divine law of abundance, receiving." The valley opened before them, revealing a landscape of extraordinary beauty. Wildflowers carpeted the ground in waves of color. A stream meandered through the center, and fruit-bearing trees dotted the landscape, their branches heavy with ripening bounty. "Many people," Sophia began, "master the art of giving but struggle with its essential counterpart, receiving. They pride themselves on self-sufficiency, viewing the need to receive as weakness. Yet in nature, receiving is honored equally with giving." She guided them to the stream, where flat stones created natural seating areas along the bank. The water flowed clear and melodious over smooth river rocks. "Observe this stream," Sophia instructed. "It continuously receives water from the mountains above, never refusing what is offered. It doesn't question whether it deserves the water or try to prove itself worthy. It simply opens and allows." Emma watched the water's unhesitating movement, realizing how often she had declined help, compliments, or opportunities. Sometimes from a misguided sense of humility, other times from a deeper belief that she didn't deserve to receive freely. "Today's practice begins with your hands," Sophia continued. "Please cup them together, forming a bowl." The group followed her instruction, creating small vessels with their palms. "These hands symbolize your capacity to receive. Now, I'll walk among you and pour water into your hands. Your only task is to receive it completely, without tension, without pulling back." Sophia moved through the circle with a small pitcher of water from the stream. When she reached Emma, their eyes met briefly before Sophia poured. The cool water pooled in Emma's palms, and she felt a surprising emotional response, a tightening in her throat, as if the simple act of receiving touched something vulnerable within her. "Notice," Sophia said when she had completed the circle, "how you must relax your hands to hold the water. If you tense or grasp, the water escapes through your fingers. Receiving requires openness and trust." She invited them to release the water back to the earth before continuing. Many of life's blessings flow toward us naturally, but we block them through doubt, unworthiness, or the belief that we must struggle for everything good. The fourth law teaches us that receiving is not passive, but requires active participation, the conscious choice to allow abundance in. For their midday practice, Sophia led them to a grove of fruit trees. Ripe pears hung from low branches, easily within reach. "I invite each of you to select and pick one perfect fruit," she instructed. "But before you eat it, hold it in your hands and acknowledge that you did not create this nourishment. You did not plant the tree, call forth the rain, or summon the sunlight that ripened the fruit. It comes to you as a gift from the universe." Emma selected a pear, feeling its weight and perfect ripeness. As she held it, she contemplated how many gifts she received daily without recognition: clean air, the warmth of the sun, the support of the ground beneath her feet. "Now, eat slowly," Sophia guided. "With each bite, practice conscious receiving. Taste fully. Allow yourself to be nourished without feeling you must immediately give something in return." The sweetness of the fruit spread across Emma's tongue, and she realized how rarely she ate with such presence, such willingness to receive pleasure without guilt or hurry. As afternoon approached, they gathered for the sunset ceremony Sophia had mentioned. They sat in a semicircle facing west, where the sun would soon begin its descent behind the mountains. "As the day gives way to evening," Sophia explained, "we practice receiving the transition from light to darkness. In your journal, write down what you find difficult to receive: love, help, praise, success, rest, and why." Emma wrote honestly about her struggles with accepting appreciation for her work and receiving help when overwhelmed. The act of articulating these barriers felt surprisingly liberating. As golden light bathed the valley, Sophia spoke final words about the fourth law. Receiving fully is an act of courage. It requires us to believe in our worthiness and to trust in life's fundamental generosity. When we master this law, we become like this valley, natural vessels for abundance to flow into and through. After dinner, rather than returning to their rooms as they had on previous evenings, Sophia invited the group to bring blankets to the highest meadow on the property. "Tonight," she explained as they made their way up a gentle path illuminated by lanterns, "we'll sleep beneath the stars to learn the fifth divine law of abundance: trust." The meadow stretched wide at the mountain's shoulder, offering an unobstructed view of the night sky. Sophia had arranged a circle of comfortable mats around a small, contained fire that cast a warm glow but didn't diminish the brilliance of the stars emerging overhead. "Trust," Sophia began as they settled onto their blankets, "is perhaps the most challenging of the laws to embody, yet it serves as the foundation for all others. Without trust, gratitude becomes mere politeness, intention turns to anxious striving, giving becomes calculated exchange, and receiving feels uncomfortable or undeserved." The fire crackled softly as darkness deepened around them. Above, the first stars appeared, then dozens, then hundreds, until the sky became a vast ocean of light. Look up, Sophia instructed. Each of those stars moves in perfect harmony with cosmic laws. The universe doesn't worry about whether the planets will stay in orbit or if gravity will continue functioning. There is an inherent trust in the natural order. Emma gazed upward, feeling simultaneously tiny and expansive beneath the celestial canopy. The vastness above seemed to mirror something equally vast within her. Human beings, Sophia continued, are the only creatures who resist trusting life's process. We try to control outcomes, worry about future scenarios that may never materialize, and doubt the very intelligence that orchestrates our beating hearts and breathing lungs without our conscious direction. She invited them to lie back completely, allowing the earth to support their bodies while the stars held their gaze. Tonight's practice is simple but profound. We will sleep under this cosmic display, surrendering to the night with the same trust that allows a seed to sleep in the dark soil before it's time to emerge. Before they settled for sleep, Sophia guided them through a visualization. Close your eyes and imagine your life as a river flowing toward the ocean of your highest good. See places where you've created dams of doubt or diverted the flow through fear. Now, visualize removing these obstacles, allowing trust to restore the natural current. Emma saw clearly how her anxiety about finances had become a massive dam, backing up energy that could have flowed toward creative solutions. In her mind's eye, she began dismantling this blockage, feeling a release as imaginary waters resumed their journey. Trust doesn't mean blind faith or passive waiting, Sophia explained. It means active alignment with the intelligence that orchestrates perfect timing throughout nature. The flower doesn't bloom before its time, nor does it delay when its moment arrives. As their eyelids grew heavy under the hypnotic starlight, Sophia offered one final thought. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, that daily practice of surrender, notice how naturally you trust that your heart will continue beating. Your lungs will keep breathing. This same intelligence guides the unfolding of your life's abundance when you allow it. Emma's last conscious awareness was of the Milky Way stretching across the sky like a river of light, mirroring the path of possibility she had visualized in her own life. During the night, she dreamed vividly of standing at a crossroads where countless paths extended before her. Rather than feeling overwhelmed by choices, she felt a calm knowing about which way to proceed. Each step revealed the next appropriate move, never the entire journey, but always enough to continue forward with confidence. She woke at dawn to find dew glistening on her blanket and the first blush of sunrise painting the eastern sky. The others were also stirring, their faces holding the soft impression of profound rest. "How did you sleep?" Sophia asked as they gathered their belongings. "I dreamed of knowing which way to go without seeing the entire path," Emma shared. Sophia nodded. That is the essence of trust, not requiring complete certainty before taking the next step. Today, carry this feeling with you. Notice opportunities to choose trust over worry, flow over resistance. As they descended from the meadow, Emma felt something had shifted during the night. The knot of anxiety that had lived between her shoulder blades for years had loosened. In its place was a quiet confidence that perhaps the universe was indeed conspiring in her favor, not to give her everything she wanted, but to guide her toward everything she needed. The morning after their night under the stars, Sophia led the group to the river that flowed through the property. Unlike the gentle stream in the valley, this was a substantial waterway with currents that varied from peaceful pools to energetic rapids. Today, we explore the sixth divine law of abundance, alignment, Sophia announced as they walked along the riverbank. This law teaches us how to flow with our highest good rather than struggling against life's current. They followed the river's course, observing how it moved, sometimes gently curving around obstacles, other times powerfully cutting through resistance, but always continuing its journey toward the distant sea. The river demonstrates perfect alignment, Sophia explained. It doesn't question its nature or purpose. It doesn't compare itself to other rivers or wish to be a mountain instead. It simply expresses its riverness completely, following the path of least resistance while maintaining its essential direction. They came to a wide, flat rock extending over a particularly beautiful section, where the river widened into a series of connected pools. Sophia invited them to sit in a semicircle facing the water. Alignment means bringing your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions into harmony with your deepest truth, she continued. Many people live in constant internal conflict, thinking one thing, feeling another, saying something else entirely, and acting in yet another way. Emma recognized herself in this description, recalling how often she said yes when she meant no, or pursued goals that belonged to others' expectations rather than her own desires. This internal misalignment creates resistance to abundance, Sophia said. Like trying to paddle upstream, it exhausts your energy while making little progress. For their morning practice, Sophia guided them through a reflective exercise, asking them to identify areas of misalignment in their lives, places where their daily activities contradicted their core values or where their words didn't match their true feelings. Emma wrote honestly about her creative aspirations that remained unexpressed while she worked at a job that drained her spirit. She acknowledged how she often downplayed her needs to avoid inconveniencing others, creating resentment that poisoned her relationships. Alignment doesn't happen all at once, Sophia reassured them. Like this river finding its course over centuries, it's a process of continuous adjustment and honest self-assessment. After completing their reflections, Sophia led them farther downstream to where the river narrowed and flowed more rapidly through a series of smooth stone formations. Observe how the water behaves here, she instructed. It doesn't fight the narrowing but actually accelerates, finding power in the focused direction. They watched as the river, compressed by the natural stone channel, moved with increased velocity and purpose. Sometimes what feels like limitation is actually life helping you align more powerfully with your true direction, Sophia explained. Constraints can focus your energy, much like this narrowing focuses the river's flow. For their afternoon practice, Sophia gave each person a small, flat wooden boat, simple crafts carved from a single piece of wood. We'll release these boats into the current, she explained. Each represents your life force. Before releasing yours, write on its underside one commitment to greater alignment, one specific way you'll bring your outer life into harmony with your inner truth. Emma considered carefully before writing her commitment. I will dedicate the first hour of each day to my creative writing before attending to others' needs or expectations. One by one, they knelt at the river's edge and placed their boats on the water. Emma watched as hers hesitated briefly in an eddy before catching the main current and moving smoothly downstream, eventually disappearing around a bend. Your life energy flows most powerfully when aligned with purpose, Sophia observed as they watched the last boat depart. Resistance dissolves not through struggle, but through surrender to your authentic path. As they walked back toward the sanctuary buildings, Sophia explained that alignment requires regular attention. Each morning, check your internal compass. Ask yourself, are my planned activities aligned with my values? Are my words consistent with my truth? Am I moving with life's current or against it? That evening, Emma sat by her window watching the sunset paint the mountains in deepening shades of purple. She felt a new clarity about changes needed in her life, not dramatic external shifts, but subtle realignments that would gradually alter her course. She understood now that abundance couldn't flow freely through a life filled with contradictions and compromises. True prosperity required the courage to align with her deepest values, even when that alignment challenged comfortable patterns or others' expectations. For the first time in years, Emma felt the quiet excitement of someone who has glimpsed their true north and committed to following its direction. On the final morning, no note awaited Emma. Instead, Sophia herself knocked softly on her door, just as the first light of dawn illuminated the mountains. Today, we complete our journey with the seventh divine law of abundance. Rest, Sophia explained as they walked together. For this lesson, we return to where we began. They made their way to the main building, but instead of gathering in the common areas they had used throughout the week, Sophia led Emma and the others to a section of the sanctuary they hadn't yet visited. A corridor opened into a circular room with 7 alcoves built into its walls. Each alcove contained a comfortable meditation cushion and was illuminated by a single candle. The sanctuary's peaceful chambers, Sophia announced. This sacred space is devoted to the practice of purposeful stillness. The room held a quality of profound silence, not merely the absence of sound, but a positive presence of peace that seemed to envelop them as they entered. Many seekers, Sophia began, her voice appropriately hushed, master the first 6 laws, but neglect the 7th. They practice gratitude, set clear intentions, give generously, learn to receive, develop trust, and align with their purpose, yet still find abundance elusive because they never allow themselves to rest. She invited them to each choose an alcove. Emma selected one facing east, where morning light filtered through a small stained glass window, creating patterns of colored light on the wooden floor. In nature, Sophia continued once everyone was settled, periods of activity are always balanced with rest. Plants grow, then consolidate their energy. Animals forage, then sleep. Even the mightiest river meets the sea and becomes still. This rhythm is not incidental, but essential to the creation of abundance. Emma settled onto her cushion, arranging her body comfortably, as Sophia had taught them earlier in the week. Rest is not laziness, Sophia emphasized. It is the sacred space in which integration happens. Without rest, gratitude becomes a task, intention becomes striving, giving becomes depleting, receiving feels uncomfortable, trust erodes, and alignment wavers. She guided them to close their eyes and bring awareness to their breathing, not to control or change it, but simply to witness its natural rhythm. Just as the pause between breaths is essential to breathing, periods of rest are essential to creating abundance. In stillness, we allow all we've learned and experienced to integrate. We create space for insights to arise and new possibilities to emerge. As Emma settled into stillness, she became aware of subtle tensions she'd been carrying, in her jaw, her shoulders, the space between her eyebrows. With each breath, she allowed these to soften. The 7th law teaches us that doing nothing is sometimes the most productive action, Sophia continued. Like a field lying fallow between plantings, restful awareness rejuvenates our creative capacity. For nearly an hour, they sat in guided meditation as Sophia gently led them through a process of integrating all 7 laws. She invited them to visualize each principle as a distinct energy center in their body, glowing with light. Gratitude in the heart, intention at the brow, giving in the right hand, receiving in the left, trust in the belly, alignment in the spine, and rest as a gentle field surrounding everything. Allow these energies to harmonize, she instructed. See them not as separate practices, but as aspects of a unified approach to living. Emma experienced a profound sense of wholeness as she visualized these principles working together within her. The meditation deepened, moving beyond visualization into a direct experience of abundant presence, a feeling that everything she needed was already within and around her. When Sophia finally rang a small bell to signal the end of the meditation, Emma opened her eyes feeling both deeply rested and energized. The paradox made sense now. True rest wasn't collapse from exhaustion, but conscious renewal of life force. The practice of rest, Sophia explained as they slowly rose from their cushions, should not be reserved for retreats or vacations. Incorporate moments of stillness into each day. 5 minutes of meditation before breakfast, a mindful pause before important conversations, an evening ritual of quieting the mind before sleep. She led them out of the chamber, into the bright mid-morning light. The sanctuary grounds seemed to glow with renewed vibrancy, though Emma suspected the change was more in her perception than in the physical environment. "Remember," Sophia said as they gathered one last time, "that abundance flows most freely when we balance doing with being, effort with surrender, expression with receptivity. The 7th law reminds us that sometimes the most productive thing we can do is nothing at all." After a final shared meal, the small group gathered their belongings and prepared to depart. Emma stood on the main porch, her weekend bag at her feet, taking in the sanctuary grounds one last time. The 7 days had passed with remarkable swiftness, yet she felt as though she had lived a lifetime of learning in that brief span. Sophia approached, carrying 7 small pouches tied with different colored ribbons. "A parting gift," she said, handing one to Emma and each of the others. "Seeds from our gardens, 7 varieties to remind you of the 7 laws. Plant them when you return home, and as they grow, so will your practice." Emma accepted the pouches gratefully, tucking them carefully into her bag. "How do I maintain these practices in daily life?" she asked. "Everything feels clear here, but I'm returning to the same challenges I left behind." Sophia smiled with understanding. "The laws work not by changing your external circumstances immediately, but by transforming how you relate to them. Begin each day with gratitude. Set clear intentions. Find small ways to give. Practice receiving graciously. Trust the process even when the path isn't clear. Align your actions with your truth, and honor the necessity of rest." She placed her hands on Emma's shoulders in a gesture of blessing. "Remember that abundance isn't measured by what you acquire, but by how fully you participate in the flow of life. These laws aren't techniques for getting more, but pathways to becoming more present, more authentic, more aligned with your highest potential." As Emma drove down the mountain road, watching the sanctuary disappear in her rearview mirror, she felt neither the anxiety of returning to real life, nor the letdown that often follows meaningful experiences. Instead, she carried a quiet confidence, not that her challenges had vanished, but that she now possessed inner resources to meet them differently. The 7 laws had woven themselves into a new perspective, a lens through which she could view both difficulties and opportunities. Gratitude would help her recognize blessings even in hard times. Clear intention would focus her energy toward meaningful goals. Giving would connect her to the natural flow of abundance. Receiving would allow that abundance to nourish her. Trust would sustain her through uncertainty. Alignment would guide her choices, and rest would integrate everything into wisdom. As the mountain road merged with the highway leading home, Emma smiled. The journey toward abundance had only just begun.